Hey, so once again, you'll notice I'm trying something a little bit different. I am, instead of showing you my lovely mug and my excellent facial hair, going to go ahead and, have this video game that I recorded myself playing, showing as the video instead. I mean, you don't really need to see me talking to understand what I'm saying, right? Unless you're, well, I don't know. Anyway, what I want to talk about today is political correctness. I've covered this on my blog, but that was years ago, so we might as well go ahead and talk about it again. Especially now that I have discussed a few things in different contexts. I've evolved in the last, 5 years? I don't know. We'll see. In any event, what is political correctness? Apart from being a buzzword that the right fucking loves to just throw out there. Well, you go back in history and you look at it, and what you find is that political correctness actually originated in the early 19th century, late 17th century. Sorry, late 18th century, early 19th century. And then it was used in all seriousness. If you wanted to rise up the ranks of a political party here in the United States, then you needed to be correct. Politically, you needed to do and say the right things according to the party leaders in order to be allowed to advance. But that doesn't really, or at least I should say, that didn't really mesh well with their ideas about what the United States should be. Back then, they liked to think of themselves as independent thinkers and so on, same as today, despite the fact that they were then, much as now, not independent thinkers. They were political actors. They had parties, movements, groups, and political machinery and all that jazz. So the term fell out of favor. I mean, what it was referring to, the fact that you had to be politically correct in order to move up the ranks, didn't fall out of favor, but the term fell out of favor. It was resurrected amongst the countercultural groups of the 1950s. The beatniks, the hippies, the communists, and so on. People on the left is what I'm saying. Slightly more anarchist than the rest of U.S. society. And they always used it in an ironic sense, or a critical sense, as in they were criticizing things. Specifically saying, don't try to get me to be politically correct, I'm going to speak my mind, I'm going to criticize the authority structures, I'm going to criticize the system, I'm going to criticize society and culture. They were a countercultural movement, after all. And that's how things continued on the left for quite some time. But the term eventually, faded out of use. It wasn't, slang terms and so on, memes, they come in and out of use. Only rarely do they stick around decade after decade after decade, The word cool, for example, is kind of an oddity in that it is still incredibly popular, 8 or 9 decades after it was first introduced. But after the left, after the counterculture was done with the term politically correct, it got resurrected on the right. In this case, it was by right-wing bigots, assholes, racists, homophobes, and so on, who were chafing at the controls that kept them from speaking their mind. They wanted to say what they actually felt, the things they actually believed, but they knew that they would be harshly criticized and possibly lose their jobs if they actually said what they meant. So they were using it in all seriousness, like at the beginning of the 19th century, but there was a hint of irony there, because the people they were attacking were not the ones who were actually keeping them from speaking their minds. Remember that the 20th century saw an oddity in the flipping of the political parties, a sort of flip, a semi-flip, in which the Democrats traded their fascist wing for the progressive wing of the Republican Party. So the Democrats prior to the Great Depression had a conservative wing and a fascist wing, whereas the Republican Party, again prior to the Depression, had a capitalist wing and a progressive wing. Over the course of those 30 years, or 40 years almost, they swapped their wings. The fascists left the Democrats, The Democrats stole the progressives from the Republicans, and then the Republicans eventually adopted the fascists. And that adoption of the fascists was pretty much a one-time event. I mean, it took, another, 30 years after it happened in order for it to be finalized, for the old, never Republican diehards to die off. But that one-time event was sealed with the Southern strategy, in which Richard Nixon sought to woo the South, to win the South. And the Southern strategy was really straightforward. Rule 1, be horrifically racist, so that you can win the South. And Rule 2, just don't sound horrifically racist, so that you won't alienate the rest of the country. And that's it. And that's what made the modern Republican Party, and that is really all it took. It worked phenomenally well. Nixon won re-election by frickin' landslide. But it's that Rule 2 that you have to look at. The Rule 2 is what the bigots, the racists, the fascists, and so on have been railing against for the last, 20 or 30 years. When they talk about political correctness, they think they're whining about the left. They think they're whining about liberals and feminazis and PC culture, but they're not. They're actually yelling at their own party. They're yelling at the Republican control structure that was put in place to keep their people from stepping out of line and alienating decent people who think racism is bad, who think that homophobia and other forms of bigotry are just plain bad. So that is the irony at the heart of complaining about PC culture. And if people had been really paying attention to history, recent history, then they would have known that the field had been set up very, very neatly and tidily for someone like Donald Trump to come in and win the Republican Party. Because he didn't have those filters, he didn't care, he had no reason to kiss the ring of the party structure and accept the restraints of the second rule of the Southern strategy. So when he came in and was just an openly awful human being, the awful human beings who formed the core of the Republican Party ate it up. Because he had finally there was somebody who was saying what he really meant. So that they could all say what they really meant. And that's why we've had this rise in fascism. It's because it's not really a rise in fascism. It's just the unveiling of the fascism that has always been there at the heart of the Republican Party. So when you hear someone whining about PC culture, about the PC police, about political correctness and all that stuff, be aware that what they're doing is they're whining about their own side telling them to calm the fuck down and stop revealing their power levels, as they put it on 4chan. Political correctness, if it were to come from the left, would just be stop being a bigot. Stop thinking that other people are worth less than you are. But coming from the right, it was, definitely believe those things. Act on those things. You want those things. Just don't say it. And that's why they were complaining. Because they were being asked to be dishonest about their hatreds. And that's all that I want to say about that. So please, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. And I used to Twitch, haven't done it in a while. If anybody expresses any sort of interest in that, then I might start that back up again. But more importantly, I have a podcast that I and some friends do, playing D&D. We're villains trying to destroy the world. Who knows how successful we'll be with that. See you around.